Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Tip Tuesday, still going strong. I am Summer from Summer Sweet Shop. I hope you guys are enjoying your Tuesday. I know it is very different and unusual circumstances that we have right now, as most of us are probably in quarantine. But I hope you'll join me. We are operating as business as usual around here. And so I love to educate you guys and teach you guys, and I do that all out of my home. And so just the difference is my kids are all at home from school right now. So just like everyone else is. You're out of school. So if there's any interruptions by little ones, like just now, you'll understand why. But I hope this, guys, I hope this is helpful for you guys, and I hope that it answers some questions. If you have questions, please put them in the comments, and I will try to answer those, if not during the session, but also at the end. And yeah, I hope this helps. Let's just talk about royal icing. We're just going to jump right into this. So royal icing, actually, let me grab what I use. Oh, I should have been prepared for this. Okay. Sorry, I should have been more prepared with this to show you. So we're not going to go over the ingredients and making the icing today, but I want to tell you a little bit. There are lots of recipes online for royal icing. I have my recipe. My personal recipe is in my Cookie Academy that comes out on next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. But let me just share a little tip with you guys. So this is Wilton meringue powder. I used Wilton meringue powder for years and years and years. This is just one of the ingredients that goes into your royal icing. If you, and it comes in smaller containers than this. This is just a really large size. You can get this at Walmart, Joann's. You can get it on Amazon, all of that. It has a recipe here for you to follow for if you want to use and make your royal icing. So just know that is one of the recipes. It's not the recipe that I use, but just know that one could totally get you started and get you somewhere. I currently use Jeannie's Dream meringue powder. You can order this on Amazon as well, and you can order it from the creativecookery.com. That's who supplies it. So, but they also have it on Amazon. She does not have the recipe on here. I think she might have her recipe on creativecookery.com. I just actually had to order more yesterday because I was running out. I buy it by like 10 pounds at a time, which lasts me usually about 4 to 6 months, just depending on how busy I am. But I love this meringue powder. The difference between these two meringue powders are Jeannie's Dream just gives me a nice fluffy consistency when it comes out of the mixer. It's almost like marshmallow fluff. Highly recommend. It's on Amazon. You can look on my shop and see the Jeannie's Dream or the Wilton. I think I have both of them there. I know I have the Wilton. I think I have the Jeannie's Dream because it just recently came on Amazon. But those are the ones that I recommend for you. So, like I said, we're not going to go over how to make your royal icing. I talk about all of that in my course, in my Cookie Academy course that comes out next Wednesday. But today we're going to talk about consistency and the difference between the consistencies that you use for your icings. So first off, when you mix up your icing in your bowl and you follow your instructions and your directions and everything, when your icing comes out of the mixer, it's going to be a stiff consistency. And when I say a stiff consistency, that also means like toothpaste. So you may be thinking, well, how thick is toothpaste? Well, it's going to be really thick. You want it to be thick that you have these stiff peaks that when you put your spatula in here, you're going to have these stiff peaks. So see how it made that little curly cue? Some people like to call that the Dairy Queen curl. So you know that it's at the right consistency when you've got that Dairy Queen curl. And you got that right. So this is what you're going to use. Like I said, it's going to be right out of the mixture. This is what you're going to use when you outline your cookie, when you do a lot of details on your cookies, let me see what I've got here to show you. Just as an example, this, you can see my outline here on the cookie. This was made, with stiff icing. This is also called your outline or your piping icing. He looks really funny with no ears. I gotta put ears on my little bunny. But that's what your stiff icing is. That's what your outline icing is. That's what most of your details are gonna be using, is with this stiff icing. So when you are ready, so normally what I'll do is I'll have my stiff icing, I'll bag it, and then whatever's left over is what I will use to thin out for my flood icing. So how do we get flood icing? I'm glad you asked. So I always have a bowl here. This is exactly how I set it up. It's got like a little teaspoon in here of water, just water right out of the tap. You don't have to use any special water. But I just start with 1 teaspoon of water right into my icing. So I'm going to mix it around and see what kind of consistency I get when I add just 1 teaspoon of water. So this is kind of an in-between your outline and your flood consistency. If you notice, we don't have those stiff peaks. It's just like we don't have that curl anymore because we added some water and thinned it out. But you could outline with this consistency and flood with the same consistency. And that is totally what you could do with that. Okay, I don't typically use a in-between, a 1 consistency. I like to use 2 consistencies. That's a personal preference of mine. I like to see the outline on the cookie, the outline versus the flood. Again, that's just a personal preference that I have. But you could totally, if that's what you want to see, then you totally do that. So if you want to do 1 consistency. I don't think I have any cookies around that have just like a 1 consistency to show you, but you just wouldn't see this outline here. Well, I guess, these little slippers, these are supposed to be little bunny slippers. They do not have an outline. I used 1 consistency to fill them in. So you see the difference that they don't have an outline versus this has an outline.
They look like clouds.
They look like clouds. Sydney says these look like clouds. They kind of do. They need ears because they're supposed to be bunnies. Okay, so I'm going to use another, let's do a 1/2 teaspoon and see where that gets us. I love these silicone spatulas. They make it very easy to stir up your icing. And they don't break, and they're the right size. And I'm going to add just a little bit more because see how I have breaks in my ribbon of icing? Can you see that? That it breaks like that? I want to have it just a little bit thinner. So I'm going to add another. So we've added 2 teaspoons for this bowl that's about half full. Once you do this a lot, you'll kind of know how much it takes to, I know a full bag or a full thing of icing in this container will fill up a full bag of icing, and that will fill a whole tray of average size cookies. Yes. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to see how this is. So I'm still getting these breaks in the ribbon here, and I don't want to see that. So I'm going to add just a tiny bit more. Do you see that? Just a little dash of water because I don't want to see. Here's what I'm looking for. How long do you mix your icing to get the right consistencies? I'm always sort of over mixing. You're really not going to over mix it with your hand when you're doing like this. I've never had an issue with that. It's the over mixing in the mixing bowl. Most recipes will call for you to, oh look, meringue powder. Here's the recipe for Jeannie's. I just noticed that. Let's see. She says to mix for 3 minutes on high. I think Wilton says 3 to 4 minutes on high. My recipe says 3 to 4 minutes on high. So definitely 3 to 4 minutes. I would be really cautious not to do more than that because you could overmix your icing. If you overmix your icing, you probably won't notice until it dries after it's been on your cookie. And what happens is it gets really gritty and it won't dry. So it gets really porous, if that makes sense. And you'll like touch it on the cookie and it won't have dried overnight or within 8 hours. And it's real like gritty. I did some one time. I think I've only done this a couple times where I've over mixed, and it was for a graduation set, and the color was supposed to be black. It was graduation hats. It was supposed to be black, and they were more of a gray. They never turned black, and it was very gritty looking, like very porous. So be cautious of that. But you're not going to over mix in your hand with your hand like this, in your arm. It's more for in the mixer. Okay, so I'm still having breaks. I'm still having breaks in the icing, trying to get to where you see a continuous ribbon of icing. Great question. How do you get your icing to dry shiny and not matte? The trick to that is to have a fan. I have just a little inexpensive, probably $20 fan, stand-up fan that I got from Walmart. You can use a table fan. If you dry them in front of a fan, they will have a shiny finish to them and not a matte finish. If it breaks a little, it's fine. So totally fine. This is one of those that's a muscle memory, and so you learn. So see how it has a continuous ribbon of icing? That's what I'm looking for. That's when I know that it's just right. So you can use a little bit thicker, but this is what I prefer when I'm flooding my cookies, because what I try to eliminate is to have to go back and use my scribe at all. If your icing is a little bit thinner or thicker than what this is here, with you don't have that continuous ribbon, but you stopped maybe a couple stages before I did with thinning it out, you're just going to have to go with your scribe and just move your icing around before it sets and before it dries. So that's just what I prefer. If you want to have that puffy icing, I feel like this is part of it too. It's just to have that icing that just falls right off the spatula in one continuous ribbon. That's what you want. You want it to settle. You're going to watch it settle. Back here, I don't count. Some people count seconds, but I just kind of look to see, is it settling back out into one consistency, one big blob. When you think of icing with water, does the color change when you thin it? No, it does not change the color at all. If I had this icing and I needed to thicken it up, like I got it too thin, you could add powdered sugar directly to your bowl, and that will lighten the color a little bit, but not very much. But I never change the color. You always want to mix your color in here in your thick icing before you thin it out. You don't want to change the color unless you're wanting a different color from your outline color. But if you want the same color for both your outline and your flood, you want to do it all. You want to color with your outline icing. All right, so there we go. That's how we have it. That is what I have for you guys today. I hope that was helpful. And I enjoyed. If there's any other questions, I will go and answer these if there were any other questions that I've missed. How long can the icing last pre-mixed on the counter? You can, this does not have to be refrigerated. You can leave it on the counter. It will start to separate. And so just to grab you a bag that I've had that's been sitting in the fridge that I pulled out, you can see where it is separated. All you have to do is just gently massage that icing in that bag. And you will see how it goes back together and comes back together. So if it's not coming back together, it's been longer than a day or two, and it is separated, you can put it back into a bowl and remix it and then rebag it. So great question. Hope this was helpful, you guys. I will look forward to seeing you next Tuesday with another tip, and I hope you guys have an awesome, awesome day. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.